Shalom Yalakum, family. I'm back with another one. I wanted to touch on a subject. It's a real popular subject. Um, the sex demons, the whoremongers, and the Nephilim, and how it all started. Um, and the misconception that if you have giant flesh, that you're blessed. Um, some people was having a conversation a few days ago about a dude from our old neighborhood, and they were laughing at him, because females, kind of talk down on him, say he was kind of small down there, and they got to hollering about how blessed they was, and and they don't have no problems, and all this here, and it's like y'all don't even know that where where their bloodline come from. So we're gonna start off um, with the fallen angels. The fallen angels were cast down from heaven, and they fell in love with the daughters of men. They agreed to take them as wives and transgress and mix with the humans. And they had babies by the daughters of men, and the babies were born and they became giants. And it said the giants became the legendary men of renown, um, which are the Nephilim, the giants. And in the book of Enoch, it speaks on that, and it says it said a star fell from heaven, and then after that star, multiple stars cast themselves down onto that first star, and they graze with the cows, which in the Bible um women are synonymous, with cow. When they speak on a cow, it's like what you call it, a parable or analogy. Women as cows, men as bulls. Um, that's why in the old days, your grannies used to call, female, you a cow, you a hussy, what I'm saying, stuff like that. But it said that those angels, they all let out their privy members like horses. Now, we're going to get the definition of a privy member. Well, and as most people already know what privy member is, your private member, um, like horses. And it say the women gave birth to all the cows gave birth to different type of animals. How does a cow give birth to nothing but a cow or a bull? But it did. So it let you know that blood was contaminated. That bloodline, the ones who let out their privy members like horses. And so women run around worshiping giant meat, men run around worshiping big booties, but you don't know what you're getting yourself into. And this is nothing new. Like Solomon said, it's nothing new under the sun. Um, I'm gonna put that scripture with Solomon, say that. And it's been going on since the beginning, since that time. And if you look at the Baphomet statue, if you pay attention, it's a rod sticking up out of his lap, and it's two snakes going around it, which is also the symbolism for medicine. How medicine tie into sex? That's crazy, but that's the symbolism for medicine. And everybody done seen at the hospital when on the doctors and stuff like that. The stick with two snakes going around it. That's the same symbol that's coming from the crotch of the statue on Baphomet. And yeah, it represents the obelisk. They worship the obelisk over there in Egypt. They worship the obelisk in Egypt. And they worshiped it in Babylon. And it's also one in Washington, D.C. But I think it was Daniel, Ezekiel, Shadrach, Meshach, or Abednego. It was one of them. I don't know off top. I'm going to put the scripture up to where they wouldn't bow down like everybody else and worship the obelisk. It doesn't say it's the obelisk. It gives a description of an image that was erected. Now, what do we call the penis when it gets hard? Erected, erection. It was an image that was erected, and it gave the dimensions of it. And if you know how to understand the dimensions and measurements, it's describing the obelisk. It was a gold image. And like I say, Daniel, Ezekiel, Shadrach, one of them, they wouldn't bow down to it, and they got in some trouble behind it. But when you know measurements, you know that there was the obelisk. So people have been worshiping this sex gods and these sex demons for a long time. It's nothing new under the sun. We go back to the book of Ezekiel, when in chapter 16, when the Most High condemned and rebuked the daughters of Israel for lusting after the Egyptians' greater flesh. Now, I just told you it's an obelisk erected in Egypt also, and greater flesh, great flesh, large flesh. You see what I'm saying? And then it says in Ezekiel chapter 23 that he rebuked and condemned the two sisters, and in a sense the women of Israel, for getting in groups and and bragging about sleeping with men who have issues like donkeys, issues like horses. You know what I'm saying? Which we know that's what women do. They brag about this type of stuff. Men brag about women with big old butts and how thick she is, and ooh. But you don't know that bloodline comes from the Nephilim. You have a giant bloodline, and then you have an elf bloodline. The giant bloodline is still alive today. The NBA players, those are the giants of today. People don't want to say it today because they worship these people. They worship basketball. But men were the size of men. Giants were giants and elves were elves. So men were meant to be average in between the elves and the giants. So, and the elves are spoken about mostly in the Norse mythology. You know, they talk about sprites and elves and things like that. But that's where that bloodline comes from, that miniature bloodline, to where they have small flesh. And you have the giants that have great flesh. They're giants. And then you have the humans that are whole. They're humans. They don't have that Nephilim blood, that fallen angel blood, or that dark elf blood. So they're average. They're normal. Men were not supposed to get 6'6", 6'5", 6'7", 6'8", 7 foot and or either 4'11", 5 foot, 5'1", 5'2". No, that's too much of a discrepancy. That'll cause strife. How many men have cheated on their girlfriend or their wife, who didn't have a body or had a all right body? How many times have they cheated on her with a woman that was super thick, had a big old butt? How many times have women cheated on their boyfriend or their husband who, probably was regular, or, he probably was a small guy, or you probably regular? How many times they cheated on them when they found a dude, with great flesh, great, you know what I'm saying? So, but it's a subject that people don't want to touch on, man. Like, the Nephilim still out here, the giants, the basketball players, they still out here. And women run around saying, "Oh, I want a man over 6 foot tall. I want a man. I want a tree and all that stuff." But you don't know what you asking for. Nobody is teaching this. The pastors don't teach the scriptures. Like, this is scripture. I ain't lying to y'all. I'm putting this on the screen. I used to want to be taller until I'm glad he made me who I am. You know what I'm saying? Everybody want a couple more inches, but like, I'm good with what I got. You know what I'm saying? For real. I don't want no more. Yeah, so I'm cool with what I got. Yeah, I ain't want to hold y'all too long, and I ain't want to just keep talking about it, because it's like, I know that might be uncomfortable for some people to talk about or listen to, but it's the truth, man. Like, say we lust after things that we don't know, or we lust after things that's harmful to us. You see what I'm saying? Sex wasn't created for us to have the most extreme sex possible, to go seeking that. Sex is created to procreation, to bring children into the world. That's what it's for. All this extracurricular sexual activity, that's sodomy, man. And but yeah, that's it. Y'all stay safe, be blessed, and I'll be back with another one. Y'all like shalom.